Hello, welcome back. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And let's have a conversation today that addresses a very frequent question. It's one that I often get. It's one that I often see in print and on the internet. And I often get this exact same question. So why not devote a video entirely to it? And the question relates to A Course in Miracles and its relationship to modern spiritual modalities. I'm not talking about the traditional religions in this case, but all of the many different traditions and modalities that exist here in the 21st century, here in the world. Where does this course fit in with all of those? And, well, what's the comparison is a question that I often get. What's the relationship? And how is this course different? Perhaps you'll find this very helpful in your own journey. So hopefully that's the case. But let me answer a couple of questions here. It's not the same. This course is, of course, one of many doors, naturally. There are many doors in spirituality. I mean, really, there are. That accounts for the multiplicity of traditions that seems to be ever growing from the traditional religions to traditional tribal and shamanic spiritual practices. There are many of those in the world, and everything that has come since then, really everything. There are many doors. So, in answering this question, don't get me wrong. This course is one of many doors, and it is not superior to any other tradition. It does not claim to monopolize or have some sort of insider's angle on the truth. Truth is not property. It cannot be owned. It simply is. It's not subject to our wild and weird and extraordinarily limited conceptions of property. No one owns it. It simply is. So this course is neither superior to nor inferior to any of these other traditions, particularly in this case, related to the question, the modern spiritual modalities, where you see a lot of focus on consciousness and manifestation. Those are, of course, a couple of the buzzwords. So how does this course compare? It's very different indeed. In fact, it's fundamentally different. And I'll explain exactly what I mean by that. You may or may not choose to follow this course as your main spiritual practice, or even as an adjunct to an existing practice, which you're welcome to do because it's a self-study curriculum. It's not a religion unto itself, and the course isn't going to tell you what you should or shouldn't do in the world outside. There's no Ten Commandments from on high, thou shalt not. That is absent here. So this, not in charge of you. Thank God. Really? I mean, seriously, right? This series of videos, which began 3.5 years ago, has as its main point sharing the Holy Spirit with you. In so doing, I have chosen, in fact, it wasn't me that chose, it was the Holy Spirit that instructs me to be uncompromising on the meaning of this course. It says what it says, which you can read. It means what it means. which again, you can read and study. This course is fundamentally different than a lot of the modern spiritual modalities that you see advertised out there that actually look really shiny and hot and sexy. I mean, there's a tremendous, I mean, really, right? There's a tremendous amount of marketing that goes into them. This course is pretty unadorned. You'll find that it's not on the surface about retreats at all. It's not, there are Course in Miracles focused retreats. It's not about a tropical or a Mediterranean getaway and enlightenment in a weekend. It's not about that. Nor, and this is very, very important, is it about effecting changes on the level of form. I'll explain exactly what I mean by that in a moment. But this course is not about manifesting things in the world, like a hot, sexy, gorgeous, sultry, romantic partner. It's not about that. It's not about manifesting a different car in your experience, a bigger home, more money, a better job. It's not about that. In fact, this course has absolutely nothing to do with the world of form, this world that we appear to inhabit. This course does not aim to effect any changes at all on that level. This level is, in fact, illusion. Now, by practicing the course, could you, in fact, attract a hot, sexy, sultry, I mean, ravishingly hot, sexy, sultry, romantic partner? Yes, you certainly could, but that is not the point. Could you trade in your junker car for a brand new Mercedes? Yes. As a result of practicing this course, yes, actually, you could, but that's not the point. Could you end up in a bigger home? Yeah, not the point. Could you end up with more money? Yes. As a result of practicing true forgiveness, you may well end up with a lot more money and influence and stuff, but that is not the point. The point's not to get things in the world outside. There is no world. There is no world. It says this. It says what it says. Remember, uncompromising. Our reality, not this. It is rather spirit, the Son of God, all of us, not simply the historical Jesus, all of us. There's one of us, the Son of God, the thought of God. Yeah. This course is different from these other modern modalities in that it operates on the mind. That's where we go to work, not necessarily in the world out there. I mean, it's not about getting a romantic partner or getting a more groovy flow going on in life so you feel better. It's about changing our mind. The world, the external world, the world of bodies, the world that we see with the body's eyes, that we appear to inhabit, is a dream. It's illusion. Our reality is spirit at home in God, where, by the way, we've never left, which should answer all of these questions. Where are you? Who and what are you, really? Not this, remember. This course operates at the mind level. In other words, it operates on the cause, not the effect. The world outside is an effect. This pixelated image on your screen that you see is an effect. Physical body is an effect. Space-time, all of it, an effect. Mind is the cause. And if you're following along verbally, yeah, we made this. God did not make a world where we set ourselves up in impossible situations to suffer the same trauma, emotional, psychological trauma over and over and over again by attempting to exchange one outward form for another, by exchanging one illusion for another. That's not where the real action is. It's within, in the mind. This is a course in mind training. So is it like all of these others? No, not at all. No, you may or may not choose to do this deep inner work. It's up to you. But it's a frequent enough question. So the course emphasizes cause, cause, not effect, the mind, not the world that appears to be external to us. This is a course about changing our mind. You may have noticed, if you've been doing this for a while, that when you begin to change your mind, what happens? You don't see things the same. You don't experience them the same, even though you appear to be running around. I mean, I appear to be running around to this pixelated image, still constellated to resemble a middle-aged man. I mean, with gray hair, stuff. Can't get any more ordinary than that. It's nothing special about the image. In fact, there's nothing special about any of these images. We go to work at the cause, the mind. We change our mind. When we change our mind, well, we don't see things the same way. How do we know this? You might be skeptical, no problem. We put the ideas taught in A Course in Miracles into practice. That's where you learn. It is. I mean, think about it. It's a self-study curriculum. You learn by putting them into practice. And when we put these ideas into practice, something very powerful happens. Our experience right here on Spinning Ball of Rock, even in the midst of our busy daily lives, shows us, demonstrates to us, and proves to us that these ideas are in fact true. In other words, we prove it to ourselves through our experience. We learn experientially. Spirituality is all about experience. In that sense, this course is no different from anything else. It's completely different in its fundamental approach, a course in mind training, operating on the level of cause, not effect. Operating, in other words, on the level of content, not form. The outward form varies quite a bit, doesn't it? I mean, there appear to be 8 billion of us after all, and counting. Yeah. So central something that is worth addressing before we wrap up here. So central to a lot of the modern spiritual modalities is the thought that, well, what you think about shows up in your experience. What you place your intention on or what you place your focus on shows up in your experience. And that's the basis for a lot of them, right? Well, and on one level, that's very true, isn't it? If you walk down the street scowling and cursing at people, you're not going to get much love from them, right? Even though you're begging for it by doing this, you're calling out for it, issuing a cry for love, a cry for help. But if you indulge in this type of behavior, at best, people are going to want to get away from you. And at worst, someone may confront you, and then you've got a situation. On the other hand, if you go down the street in a joyful, happy, smiling mood, people feel that. They can see that. And you're much more likely to get a positive response. That's a very simplistic example. So let's continue where these practices leave off at the level of form, which is where they stop. A lot of them, right? Got more money? Great. Got a hot, sexy, sultry, romantic partner? Great. What's next? I mean, really, we go there in our minds. Keep going. We're invited in this course to want the peace of God, which deep down is exactly what we all want, whether we surface level acknowledge it or not. We want the peace of God, and we're invited specifically as we study A Course in Miracles to want the peace of God and nothing else. Well, there is nothing else. Mm. We're invited to want this. So see what you really want to see. The peace of God, which is not to be found in the world out there. There is no world. Okay, so deep stuff. You deserve nothing less. You won't get anything less from pixelated image. Not even. No. So, along the way, you're welcome to ask any questions that you may have. I am here to serve as a guide and as an assistance for you in whatever way that I can be helpful. And one very, very prominent way is by being available to answer questions that you may have. You're more than welcome to leave those questions here on the comment thread in YouTube. I do look at them very frequently, so I will see them and I will respond to them. And if you have not yet joined us, please do. Please go ahead and subscribe. The prompt is here. That's the arrow in the corner of your screen. When you click on that, you'll be invited to join us. So please do that. It's a growing community, an international community. Thank you to those of you who have recently tuned in. There have been quite a good number of you. Welcome. And yeah, questions if you've got them. And don't worry about how these messages necessarily land for you. The Course says what it says. Not everybody in this lifetime is going to practice it. Clearly. But you're interested in it and you've been drawn to this conversation, which you're still watching, for a reason. And only you will really know what that is. But there's a reason for everything. There are absolutely no accidents and no coincidence that you found yourself here. So again, welcome. Subscribe if you haven't already. I invite you to stick around. And more than anything, I invite you to dedicate yourself to your spiritual practice, because that is how we all learn the best. All right. Thank you for joining me.